Alright, as I'm entering the cab, I notice a fire extinguisher. It's securely mounted to the floor. It's properly dated with a tag. It's good for 1 year from that date. The gauge is in the green, showing me that it's ready to fire. Getting in, making sure my seatbelt has no rips or tears or cuts, and I will make sure that it is securely mounted. And I'll close the door. Start the engine. The key was on the floor the whole time for safety. I'll put the key in. Put the truck in neutral. Clutch in for a safety start. My ABS light came on and it went off, telling me that the system is working. Next, I'll look at my windshield from the inside. I see that it has no cracks, but there is a small chip, which is telling me that it's smaller than a quarter. If it was larger than a quarter, I'd have to have the windshield replaced. I have windshield wipers with wash, and it's working properly. The windshield wipers have rubber on them. My mirrors are securely mounted outside, but I can see now that they are set for my my viewing pleasure. And next, I have this raises and lowers my fifth wheel plate for coupling and uncoupling trailers. This is my engine brake. I have a low and a high engine brake. I'd use that in the proper lower gear going down a steep grade, along with stab braking. This is my axle differential lock. It makes from one axle to two axles driving the truck. I have a parking brake for the tractor, trailer parking brake or air supply for the trailer. Next, I have a tachometer. I can see it's working. I have an oil pressure gauge in the lower left corner. It's not on zero, telling me that it's working. My temperature gauge of the antifreeze is normal running temperature is 180 to 210. My alternator is putting out 13.6 volts within the range of 13 to 14 volts. My speedometer we'll check in a little bit. My fuel gauge, I have a primary air pressure gauge, a secondary pressure gauge. I also have a defroster. I can feel it is blowing on the dash, and I can feel it is blowing on the floor. Next, I have 3 triangles in this red box, and I carry 3 extra fuses in case of an emergency. I also have a book which contains my IFTA paperwork information, which goes along with my stickers on the truck, my registration for my license plate, and my insurance card for the truck. Next, I have a gear shifter, which is securely mounted, not cracked or broken. My highs and lows are working. I have an accelerator pedal, service brake pedal, and a clutch, which has no more than 2 inches of play. My steering wheel should have no more than 2 inches of play. I have a city horn and a highway horn. I also have my headlights switch. I have flashers, or 4-way flashers. I also have a right turn signal that's working, a left turn signal that's working, and a high beam light that's working. Next, I'll set up for my air brake test. I will put the truck in gear. We'll turn off the engine, let the clutch out, just turn the key on so I have electric running at the dash. Then I'll push in both buttons to put air in the system to test the air brake system. The first step is called a static test. I'm watching my gauges to make sure they don't move more than 3 to 4 pounds in a minute. I'll use my clock. Say a minute went by. The next step is called the applied test. I'll apply pressure to the brake pedal, hold it steady, watch my needles that they're not going to move more than 3 to 4 pounds in a minute using my clock. Say a minute went by. The next thing is my alarms test, or air warnings test. I will pump down on the brakes, and before 60 pounds, a sound alarm and a light alarm will come on the dash. There's my light alarm on the dash, and I can hear the sound alarm going off. The next thing is my button pop-out test. I will continue pumping down the brakes until the buttons pop out between 20 and 45 psi. There, they both popped out at approximately 30 psi, which is well within the range of 20 to 45. Next, I will build up the air pressure back in the system. I can now put my truck back in neutral, so it does, because the brakes are applied and it won't roll around. Push in the clutch, I can start the engine. Bring my RPMs up to 1400 RPMs. That simulates driving down the road. Watching that my needles are steadily rising. Already my air warning lights have gone off. I'm past 60 pounds. I'm going to be waiting now for the truck to discharge the air, telling me that the air compressor is shut off. It sounds like a sneeze. The sneeze should happen between 120 and 140 psi. We're already at 100 pounds. We're at 110. We're at 120. And there it sneezed at about 125 pounds, within the range of 120 to 140. The next step is to test my parking brakes. I'll put the truck in gear. I'm going to release the truck brakes and test the trailer brakes. I'll try to move the truck, it doesn't move, telling me my trailer brakes are working. I'll repeat the process by switching and releasing the trailer brake and leaving the truck brake on. Try to move, and it doesn't move, telling me that the brakes on the tractor are working. And I'll push both of them in, put it in gear, and I'll test the service brakes. I'll move ahead until I see the speedometer move. When the speedometer moves, I'll hit the brake. The truck came to a stop, telling me my brakes work, and it didn't pull side to side, telling me I have a slack adjuster problem. And that concludes the in-cab inspection.